Welcome to another edition of Inside PressBox. I'm your host, Stan the Fan Charles. With the NFL still in a lockout, there isn't much activity out at the Ravens Training Center in Owings Mills, but I was there earlier this week and met with Kevin Byrne, the Ravens Senior VP for Public and Community Relations. We'll show you the first part of that interview later in the show, and we'll also check in with Inside PressBox producer Dave Lashley to find out about an event never before seen in the area happening this weekend in Carroll County. But first, I'd like to welcome Joe Platania, who covers the Ravens for PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com and also CSNBaltimore.com. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. I've got you, though. And we were in Ocean City last weekend together.
Yes, it was a great time. As usual, the Council of Baltimore Ravens Roost having their annual convention and parade, the 47th annual one, going back to the Colts Corrals days. And for the 6th straight year, Stan and I were managed to be the MCs for that parade. Always a great time to see the wonderful floats that the Ravens and their fans, the Ravens Roost, put out there in conjunction with the parade theme, this time being the fact that rise and conquer, that they can overcome anything. And of course, the lockout is something Ravens fans are definitely going to have to overcome in this most unusual summer.
Now, it is an unusual summer, and that's what you focused your piece on while you were down there, was how Raven fans and Roost members are feeling about this. What did you get the sense that they were thinking?
Most of them are still rather optimistic because a lot of people have pointed out the fact that games have not been lost yet. We're getting to a time constraint where that could happen as far as preseason games and maybe the first few regular season games. But right now the consensus is this thing, if it gets settled in time to have a full season, it'll get settled in between June 30th, July 4th, that area, where maybe teams could fit in an OTA, maybe a mini camp or two, because right now, second week of June, this is when the OTAs are usually over. Okay,
so they have this, I'd say they have about a 2 to 3 week window right now, Joe. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good guess because the June 3rd was when the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in St. Louis heard the appeal from the owners to lift the lockout. They got the temporary stay, then the permanent one, and then we heard that the decision would come down about 3 or 4 weeks after the hearing. And that puts you right at the end of June, going into the July 4th holiday. So that's about time when this thing could get settled, either with the judge's decision or by the secret, so-called secret talks that have been going on in Chicago and now at a Long Island hotel where both sides have been meeting as well.
Now, it seems, as you pointed out, Joe, these talks were initiated by the owners who initiated the lockout to begin with, so it's kind of interesting that they step forward and are pushing the agenda a little bit here.
Yeah, you might say it's PR driven. They don't want the fans to be turned away from their game, even though financially the players would get hurt before the owners would. I think the owners are mindful that they may have miscalculated a bit here, and they thought they would win the PR battle this time. But if they initiated the lockout, I don't see how that would happen. And now, according to most sources, it was the owners that reached out to the players and said, let's get together, let's get this done in a time frame where we could probably have a full training camp, a full preseason, and of course those 16 regular season games.
Joe, let's get closer to home. The Ravens had that workout a couple weeks ago at Towson. Do you see them working out again?
Well, they said they would, and of course it's easy to say that when you're right on the field and you got the camaraderie, even though there were 27 guys out of the 50 or 55 or so that are on the roster there. They said they would get together again. Nothing has been announced. Maybe they don't want anyone there to see them. There was a 3-day practice window at Towson. The media was allowed there for 1 day, so maybe they don't want us there for any days at all. But so far, no formal announcement of any further team-sponsored get-together.
Now, how about a couple things out in Owings Mills right now? Do you understand what the club's thinking is on their ticket policy? Money was due for season ticket holders, PSL holders, on June the 1st. And I think they got about 93% of renewals in. And they normally run at 99%. Do you understand whether or not they intend to strictly enforce that deadline?
They very well might. 93%, that's a good percentage. The waiting list is long, and even with all the trouble that's going on with the labor situation, there are people on that waiting list who will be more than happy to take the spot if somebody opts out. So it seems to me that they are going to enforce this and demand payment. I don't know if demand's the right word. I don't know if they want to be that heavy-handed about it, but they are going to want to enforce their previously stated deadlines.
Do you understand, Joe, what's going to happen with monies that are put up if games are missed? Will you have the opportunity to literally get that refunded, or will the club merely do what they always have done with playoff games that don't get played, which is roll the money into next year's packages?
If I were to guess, I'd say they would roll that money over. I don't know if they would get the refund directly, but I don't know if there would be a logistical problem in refunding all that money or what, but I would think the rollover thing would be the best option.
Lastly, Steve Bisciotti and the ball club, initially they announced that they were not going to cut any people. They left it open as to whether they would cut some salaries. About 3 weeks ago, they announced that they were going to cut, I think, 25% out of people's pay. They met with a little publicity, negative publicity, and Steve Bisciotti, to me, did the right thing for his staff. He reneged on, he recanted that.
He certainly did. I mean, ever since the Ravens got here in 1996, it's been a very PR-friendly and PR-conscious organization. Of course, they know how they got here with a team moving here and all the bad PR that went with that and all the national sympathy toward Cleveland. So it's kind of the same sort of thing. They probably said to themselves, they cut them, paid 25%. This looks bad. Reverse their field very quickly.
All right, Joe Platania, I think we'll be seeing you pretty soon out in, I don't know if it'll be Westminster or not, but I think we'll be seeing you pretty soon. Thanks for coming by. Before we take our break, we're going to take a look at the Facebook Fan of the Week. Recently, we asked our Facebook fans how they felt about having to pay in full for their Ravens season tickets in the midst of the lockout. Rick said, the season ticket money is due at this time every year. I don't see what the big deal is at all. We haven't lost any football games yet. No games, nothing. If and only if they cancel a game or games, we get a full refund plus 1% interest. Not many people would be making more than that on the money, and most would have spent it already by September. Thanks, Rick. We appreciate your response. The NFL labor situation has led to an unusual offseason, which Kevin Byrne knows all too well as the Ravens Senior VP for Public and Community Relations. We'll go out to Owings Mills and speak with Kevin when we return. This portion of Inside PressBox has been brought to you by the Maryland Lottery's Double Play Scratch Off. Scratch the front, peel the back, plus enter non-winning tickets at mdlottery.com/doubleplay for a chance to win cash and great Orioles prizes.